even call it twisting the facts because there were no facts. I was accused of levitating, of praying to a Buddhist statue, words taken out of context and distorted so that they were the opposite of what I had actually said. They were outright lies, in fact. She struggled with how to respond to the book, engage and defend, or ignore. These authors called themselves fundamentalist Christians, a word my grandmother attempted to reclaim, declaring, "I think of myself as a fundamentalist, that is, someone who still cares about fundamental things, like truth and friends, and imagination and love and story, and honor and compassion." But, of course, those aren't the kind of things that most people identify with fundamentalism. Her journey within fundamentalist and evangelical Christian circles was complex. I believe she felt called to ministry, to lovingly challenge those who would limit God's love. She built and maintained deep friendships within those communities, and until the incident described above, felt sure of her welcome, even if her words made others uncomfortable. She never pulled her punches or moderated her language. She knew that words mattered, and didn't doubt her and her interlocutors' ability to communicate civilly and meaningfully. Once my grandmother accepted an invitation to teach a summer course at a conservative Christian institution. As the final paperwork was being completed, just days before she was due there, she was asked to sign a statement of faith. These are common in conservative institutions and typically include affirmations of the fallen nature of humanity and the sin of homosexuality, and generally how angry and scary God is. She read the statement, was shocked, and said she could not sign it. She asked a friend of hers who was also teaching there if she had signed it. She had. Did she believe what she was asked to affirm? Well, she was used to the language, and so it didn't shock her. My grandmother refused to sign it, and the faculty had to get special dispensation for her to come to campus. This leads me to share the second story that spurred her to write this book. I was with a group of young friends, mostly from my church, who were born into and brought up in evangelical households. I did not grow up with their language, but I am now familiar with it, and I know the particular people who came to my house that evening are strong with love and compassion and a willingness to listen to God and to change if that is what is asked. However, a college student who came by was not only turned off by the language of evangelical Christianity, but totally shocked at my friendship with people who spoke it. Well, I was that college student, and recalling the conversation with my grandmother pricks my conscience, because I realize now that it must have surprised and affected her more than I understood at the time. I suggested, and perhaps vigorously insisted, that I saw no meaningful difference between the views and sensibilities of the authors that so upset her and of the friends gathering in her living room. I could not comprehend why Gran seemed to be denying the power of language to change and shape us. Would she, I asked, sign that statement of faith now that she was used to the language? I felt as if she was moving farther from the world I inhabited, and she felt the same about me. These two incidents were the real catalysts for this book, though it begins with her decision to travel to Antarctica and explores the difference between icons and idols. This book really becomes a way for my grandmother to go back to solid ground, to try and rehabilitate her relationship to conservative Christianity. To achieve this, she uses the methods she found so fruitful, looking at vocabulary and concepts and asking questions of them. Her great reverence for the power of language, her insistence that it matters, and her interrogation of words, ontology, disaster, soporific, ananda, etc., so familiar in all her nonfiction, is present here. Part of what I am moved by is my grandmother's willingness to change her mind, to refine and revisit past work and thought, whether it's gender-inclusive language, her slave-owning ancestors, her own definition of icon, or her understanding of her parents and unhappy childhood. She isn't shy about